What do you think?
Last week, the European Parliament and the Council for the European Union reached a final agreement on a law to create the European Digital ID, or EID, the EU's first fully digital identification system. Now, this law will provide Europeans with a digital wallet containing digital versions of their ID cards, their driver's licenses, their academic certificates, medical records, bank account information, and so on. The next major step in the EU will be to create a digital EU euro and a central bank digital currency, which is currently being developed by the European Central Bank. Now, I've been warning about digital ID for some time, and it wasn't so long ago that, like many of these issues which turn out to be correct, it was considered to be nothing but a conspiracy theory. Closer to home, the Labor government will soon introduce an Australian version of the digital ID legislation, and consultation on that bill has recently closed. And you can see how it's going to happen. Then we'll get a digital currency, and once those steps are in place, a digital snare trap will have been created. And we saw how that worked a couple of years ago with the financial cancellation of the Canadian truckers when they were protesting the freedoms. The advancement of technology is inevitable, but this push towards a digital ID future is another step towards a Chinese Communist Party-style social credit system, which will force you to support the current thing at the risk of total cancellation. We must reject a digital ID future, and time is running out for people in this place to understand that they are playing with fire.
And tonight I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. Do you know about that?
We are living in a tyrannical situation where there's only 2 clicks left when you are required to have digital ID to move around and have a life, and when cashless central bank digital currencies are the only way you can buy and sell. At that point, you've lost your freedom. If you follow the breadcrumbs to 2030, anyone can look up the UN 2030 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. By 2030, Britain specifically will have no commercial passenger aircraft leaving the country. You will not be able to leave. There will be no ships leaving the country. You will not own private transport. You will have a digital ID to do everything, and you will only have electronic money with which to transact. I would say at that point you are a slave, and because you can see them coming, you should say no. Say no right now. Stop. The things that are happening are really fantastic, but they go back decades. There's no question that there's been a very long run-up to the level of control that we are going to face if we allow cash to be winked out of existence.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, perhaps the most prominent advocate of that dreaded passport, was out there advocating that we all have to have digital IDs because the future will be digital. You shouldn't have privacy, apparently. Yeah, that's what she believes. She claims that the IDs can be a real booster to emerging economies. The trick is to build public digital infrastructure, she said, that is interoperable, open to all, and trusted. Joining me now to explain just how dangerous this is, Nigel Farage, former Brexit Party leader. Nigel, this is about global government control and a way to, what, redistribute the wealth away from the so-called wealthy nations to everybody else?
Well, it's about control, isn't it? I mean, this is the most glaring example we've ever seen from a prominent world leader. Von der Leyen is the president of the European Commission, 450 million people living within that union. Oh, and by the way, she's unelected, she's appointed, and here she is brazenly saying we need a digital ID card or app on our phones. Now, bear in mind, France and Germany are trialing this already. The European Union, she wants this to be enforced by the early 2030s and, may I add, backed up by a central bank digital currency, living in a cashless society. And now she wants the whole thing to go global. Can you imagine? On this ID card will be not just your date of birth, your gender, your eye color, your height, your approximate weight. There will be your vaccine status, your financial status, and goodness knows what else will be on that card. Can you imagine this data falling into the hands of bad actors? And if you think about it,
that's
and I speak to somebody I speak as somebody who's recently been debanked as a result of his political opinions. And this is happening in America too, as you well know, to lots of people. If we're not careful, we head towards a Chinese-style social credit system where unless you go along with the views of the day, you become a non-person. I cannot think of a more dangerous initiative than this. The problem we've got is we have to ask a question whether our leaders actually believe in our nation, because they're prepared to surrender sovereignty to the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the EU, and goodness knows what comes after that. And the truth of it is, the world will be a better, more prosperous, peaceful place if democratic nation states cooperate and trade together, not give away their powers to unelected bureaucrats. And that was the Brexit message all those years ago. I now think what our little island did becomes a stronger message for the world, and in particular, after what von der Leyen said. We simply have to say, no, we believe in liberty, we believe in freedom, we believe in the nation state.
Now, this man here, James Melville, made a very interesting tweet and got a lot of people agreeing with him. Let me know if you agree with him as well in the comment section below. He said, instead of governments having digital ID on us, perhaps we should have digital ID on them to track who they are meeting, who is lobbying them, and how they are spending our money. They don't own us, we own them. What do you think about that?
Transgender.
And this I do for Vivek, because he's very big into it. I happen to agree with him, but he said, could you mention this? I will never. She said, I love Vivek. I love him too now. I didn't love him when he was running, but I like him now. It's amazing the way you can like somebody when you win, right? But Vivek is great. He's really great. But he wanted this, and I'll give him full credit for it. It's very important, actually. I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
And the one final note I will make is that if you think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability. Units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like, say, ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
So does this mean that money can expire? That they can decide what you spend your money on? Does it mean that there's a limit to how far they go in regards to what you can spend your money on and the limitations they apply to individual people? Very interesting questions.
Well, concerns are growing for senior citizens with more and more banks going cashless. Yes, banks going cashless. Over-the-counter transactions are no longer available at some Commonwealth Bank branches, with cash only available through ATMs. For more, we're joined by the Chief Operating Officer of National Seniors Australia, Chris Grice. Thanks so much for your time, Chris.
Hi, Sarah. Thank you.
Not everyone's happy about this. I mean, a cashless trend, what's going on?
Well, we're not only sort of seeing cash being sort of, I guess, removed from the economy, but we're seeing obviously a deliberate play to transition everybody over to digital transactions. 2030, they're removing cheques from circulation, so there's a big shift to getting people off cash.
Big shift, also a big adjustment for those it most impacts, including seniors and regional communities.
Indeed, and the feedback that we're getting is that it's not as easy as just tap and go and away you go. It's sort of like some of these regional communities in particular have challenges around internet access, and so even if you're a grey nomad travelling the length and breadth of the country, if you're going to inland Australia and you're wanting to pay for fuel, well, you've got to have cash with you.
If banks do continue down this path, I mean, what does it mean for seniors? What can they do to cope? It's their cash after all. How can they get it?
Yeah, well, and also to get cash, they've got to pay for it as well. We're seeing more and more transaction fees being added onto their accounts if they want to access cash, in particular through ATMs that aren't necessarily provided by the big banks. And I guess there's a lot of work that needs to happen in terms of educating and informing senior Australians in terms of being able to operate with using their smartphones and these apps And there's even risks around that. I mean, the organisation you're talking about that's sort of making this change, they had an outage on their app which basically lasted a day. So folk who were using the app, it indicated zero balance, no money in their account, and they weren't able to access their money for an entire day, basically. And so that forced people back into the branches and long queues to just get access to what's their money.
Legislation that's been tabled.
There's what I call the triad of tyranny. The identity verification bill. It is going to give the government power to capture your facial identification, your face, verify your ID. The digital identity bill.
A digital ID system could be operating between governments and the private sector as soon as next year.
Where they can collect your identity and distribute your identity and sell your identity. They need the verification bill for the second to work. To wrap it all up, they've got the misinformation, disinformation bill.
A terrifying piece of legislation that seeks to suffocate political debate specifically and prevent citizens from disagreeing with government policy.
That's the triad of tyranny. Basically, what they'll be able to do is enforce 15-minute cities.
Imagine a city where everything you need is just a short walk or bike ride away. A place where work, groceries, schools, and parks are all within a 15-minute radius. Welcome to the concept of a 15-minute city.
Once you have surveillance, they start to tax you. That's what they're suffering from under Sadiq Khan, is green taxes based upon surveillance.
Sadiq Khan's plan to extend the city's ultra-low emission zone was today ruled lawful. It expands the area in which people with more polluting vehicles face a daily charge.
So that's what they're trying to do with this. And the Labor government was really shocked when I asked some very direct questions of Katie Gallagher, the finance minister.
I'm thinking, you are a queen and you are immersing yourself in a subject that many would say is better left to bureaucrats. I would imagine the things that you could do in your time, but you have decided to devote yourself to financial inclusion.
I'm a bureaucrat.
Why?
Well, people don't know what you do. Second, I work for the government. So I think as a child, I was born and raised in Argentina, and I saw what, inequality and lack of opportunities and high inflation context. Low and middle income people, and it's been always my passion to try to sort of turn that around. I was an economist and a banker, so this is what I can do.
Absolutely.
So if I would be a teacher, I probably would be in education. So I decided that this, and I think that, financial inclusion is an amazing tool, an enabler. It touches upon 7 of the 17 SDGs.
Sure.
So if we take this seriously, we can really build up so many things on top of it. So this, I think, is a very nice crusade to be in.
Absolutely.
Now let's head into some more interesting information. And if you haven't already done so, hit that thumbs up.
We're developing, through technology, an ability for consumers to measure their own carbon footprint. What does that mean? That's where are they traveling? How are they traveling? What are they eating? What are they consuming on the platform? So, individual carbon footprint tracker. Stay tuned. We don't have it operational yet, but this is something that we're working on.
To grab your wallet or phone to pay when you go to a checkout in future. That's because MasterCard has rolled out a new way of paying a bill, and it's with your face. The US finance giant's biometric checkout program uses the same technology that already unlocks your phone. AJ Bala is president of cyber and intelligence at MasterCard.
It's a cool new technology which allows consumers to pay with a smile, their face, or just wave. So you can forget the clunkiness of taking your wallet out or your devices out or cards out.
In New York City, you can now buy something without a phone, a credit card, cash, anything. You enter the store with your Palm. You can register your Palm once at any Whole Foods, and they will pair your Palm to your credit card. Once you grab an item, the store uses weight sensors to know something was taken, combines it with camera technology to know that it was you, and charges you as you walk out the store. No staff, no cards, no cash.
Now, I've been asking myself and my friends and family members a question recently. And it's a very interesting question. What you're looking at on screen right now is a Tesla bot. And these bots are going to be for sale for the public, and most likely for businesses also. The question is, what happens when these robots are able to do the jobs that humans do better than humans? They would be a one-time purchase. They wouldn't be a yearly salary. Would human beings be necessary to work in factories doing jobs such as this? Or would they be replaced by this technology? What do you think?
So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
Vitamin authentication. Look, I have one right here. Well, here, I'll let you hold it. Would you like to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay. So this pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. It also has what amounts to an inside-out potato battery. When you swallow it, the acids in your stomach serve as the electrolyte.
How's that do it?
And they power it up, and the switch goes on and off. And it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes, this is true.
Okay, but...
Okay, so wait. So it's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
So we're not shipping that right away?
Yeah, no. We're not shipping that right away. But it sounds like...
This is FDA cleared?
So here's the thing. This is not science fiction. This pill was actually made by a company called Proteus, and they've developed it for medical applications. That pill has been CE stamped and cleared by the FDA. You can take 30 of those per day for the rest of your life.
And then what happens? Does your heart beat change? Does your...
We can just tell that you've taken the pill. A tattoo that could be used for authentication.
This is pretty freaking sad that everything in Walmart is locked up. I mean, really, guys? Really? I have to wait for somebody to come and bring me or get me dishwashing liquid? This is straight up too bad I can't reach up there because I will grab that stuff. This is BS.
There is no such thing.
Like, we have been waiting, and of course Walmart don't ever fucking come. This is ridiculous.
Advancing very fast. But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
I think that is imaginable. I think I think, you can imagine that. You can imagine, well, you're going to be sort of transplanted into, the internet, so to speak, to live forever in a digital realm. You can imagine that, you just in your biological incarnation are going to live to be some, very long age.
The idea had been by central banks to introduce this, as we said, central bank digital currency. But have you ever seen an article or a video or, whatever description of what it actually looks like? I mean, with central bank paper money, we know what it looks like, right?
Yeah.
Bank digital currency, we know, and, we've used it ourselves. We know what it looks like. But what does central bank digital currency look like? You see? So they never talk about that because people won't actually like the looks of it.
Yeah.
Because it apparently looks, and several central banks apparently, as I heard from my sources, have already fully developed the final stage of CBDC. I mean, it comes in stages, initially likely through your mobile phone, but that's only an intermediate step. And the final stage is, it's small, and it's the size of a grain of rice. Now, why is that?
And that grain of rice is your entire wallet, or?
Yes, it's your digital ID, your wallet, can be your passport, your key. Now, of course, what we found with our debit cards or credit cards is they've already now moved to the system, RFID chips, RFID technology where you just wave the thing, contactless.
Yes.
That is sort of the conditioning us in this direction. That in the future you'll just wave your hand because you've got the microchip implant under your skin, and because and each step there's a rational reason. It's easier just to wave this, isn't it? It's much faster because we always have to wait in the queues as everyone types in their numbers and all that. So just wave it, it's quicker. But the next rationalization would be, but you can lose your card, somebody can steal your card, and then you're just waving. That's kind of risky. Wouldn't it be nice if you couldn't lose it and nobody could steal it? But it's clear that that's it is almost a step too far for a lot of people because it is a violation of human dignity to actually inject something like that under the skin. So that's where you need some more persuasion.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that this concept of universal basic income has been around for around a century, where everyone should get some kind of citizens, payment. But the billionaire elites have so far not liked that. But since 2015, they've all come out. I mean, all the big billionaires and come out, this is a good idea, universal basic income. Well, why suddenly now? Because now we have the technology for the microchip implant. And so in 2017, Bill Gates came out and said that universal basic income is a good idea, but it's too early to introduce it. Now, what was still missing? So we had the technology for the microchip implant, but what was missing was the digital ID hadn't been introduced.
And in Revelation 13:16-17 it states, "And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." Now, family, I greatly appreciate you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button.